It's Pastor David, and I'm here with our Thursday at 3 update. And today I have a very special guest, Pat Elbert. Welcome, Pat.
Thank you, David. It's good to be here with you.
Pat, you and your beautiful wife, Donna, moved down to our area 7 years ago. You are already both deeply entrenched in the family and leaders, and you are on the Staff Parish Committee, that is the Personnel Committee, and will be our co-chair of Staff Parish next year. Tell us a little bit about what brought you to the area and what has led you to step into our family and to join us in this walk.
Well, we were in Minnesota for 30 years, raised our two children, Matthew and Sarah, in Minnesota, outside of Minneapolis. Spent 30 years at Minnetonka United Methodist Church, and we're very involved there. And through job, because of a job, we moved down here to Florida about 7 years ago and started looking for a church. And we, of course, did the visits to many different Methodist churches in the area. And what we picked First United Methodist Church of Winter Park, and it's because of the warmth of the people. We felt very welcome there. And of course, the music portion of the service and the sermons were, it all fit. And we were decided to join First United Methodist Church about 5 years ago.
And you have, and you and Donna have been a real gift to us. Donna leads such a powerful ministry in helping us care for people in our congregation, a lot of different aspects of that. And you've been in leadership and helping us work through the personnel and some of the culture among staff. And I'm so glad you did. What a great testimony of the connectional system coming from a great church in Minneapolis, Minnetonka United Methodist Church, coming down to Florida, 26-hour drive away, and finding a family. And that just is that's a great testimony to the breadth of this church family we're a part of. So one of the things I appreciate about you, Pat, is that you are very intentional. My perception of you is that you really think things through. And when you speak, you've thought about it, and you have some really good questions that kind of lead us into thinking about things in a different way. And I'm going to stretch you a little, just throw you on a couple questions your way. Recently, you served as a part of a lay team, a staff member, lay members, and myself, to interview candidates for our COO position. I've shared with the church family that Matt Kuzma, who currently serves as our COO, came and told us a couple months ago that he would be resigning at the end of January. And Matt has been a real blessing to us. He's really helped us dig down and to work on getting some of our order together, as well as managing so many different areas. And he was very gracious to give us that lead. And so we've been in a process to look for Matt's replacement. It started with first started with Staff Parish coming up with a resume and the job description, of what that entailed. And that, of course, is very broad. That covered communications, facilities, finances, HR, staff leadership, all kinds of different areas. Put that onto a job description, was sent out, received resumes through our HR director, Aaron. Tricia Atchison, current chair of Staff Parish, then interviewed a number of them, passed them on to me. I sat down with those who were kind of finalists and then sent them on to the team that you served. And I'm very happy to say that we have hired a candidate for COO, Debra Rogers, who will be joining us at the end of the month, and we'll talk about her more in a bit. But in this process, so you were part of this team, and from your work in church, and you were a leader at Minnetonka as well. You've been in church leadership for many years. What did you feel was really important for this role, and what we communicated to the different candidates that came and sat down with us?
The position is very broad as far as what it's responsible for, and where Deb's strengths are for the position in her background is really in the facility side, the financial side, experience HR. And those are areas that really seem to fit her background quite well.
Yeah, it's a broad organization when you have two campuses plus a really powerful ministry in Kenya out of the country that plays into this. You have two preschools, which means you have part-time, full-time preschool staff of almost 100, plus a church and all that happens with it, with Brain Fitness and Foundry and all these different ministries. HR is critical, facility is critical, finance is a $5 million budget. It really is requiring somebody that has a lot of different skill sets. Yeah. And Deb comes to us from U.S. Bank. The last 20 years, U.S. Bank was a vice president of operations and leader development. So we felt like she was really gifted. We had several candidates, did we not, that we felt that could fill the role in different ways. How did you feel about interviewing? We interviewed 3 finalists. How did you feel that all worked out? Do you feel like we had a good opportunity in that, or what was your impression of that?
I know that there were more than 3. I think you and Tricia screened many more candidates.
Yes.
And the 3 candidates were all strong candidates. It was a very difficult decision as far as who to select, because they all had different gifts and strengths. And Debra's strengths and what she brought from her background at U.S. Bank seemed to fit very well. Her desire to gain knowledge on her spiritual journey. She had, prior to the interview, she had spent a month in Africa teaching.
Yeah.
And she's mentioned that she's really looking for a job where she can put her faith to practice. And this would be an opportunity for her to do that. Yeah,
that was really a wonderful story of her just deciding it was time to go to Africa and do this kind of mission work and teaching. And so that was incredible. And I appreciate it. I know that David Dreyer and Lynn Streepy, yourself, and Denise Meyer, myself, we actually wound up meeting a second time that week just to kind of sort that out again and make sure we were really being intentional, because we had some really good opportunities. Yeah, so having seen a bit in your work life outside of church and in your leadership in the church, having a candidate as strong is one part of the equation. The second part of that is the churches rallying around and embracing that person. And so what are some of the things that you think are critical for our family to do as we welcome Deb into our midst?
Well, Debra's coming into a new organization, and will be on a steep learning curve as far as the organization, the people, and as with any new person coming in, being welcoming to her, introducing ourselves, offering our help where needed, are all going to be important to help her make her feel at home and help her be successful.
Right. Some patience over the learning curve as we pick up different pieces, and so I appreciate that word. Well, I just one last question. I wanted to kind of know about your journey. I appreciate your faith and your faithfulness and the way you live that out, and the way that is evident. It's one of the reasons we asked you to co-chair the Staff Parish team, is because you are a faithful disciple. What are some of the things that you have found to be really important in our walk with Jesus, in our becoming a disciple?
For me personally, time to reflect, time to meditate is important. And in our busy world, that's not always easy to do. No. And certainly going to church. But one of the things, and something that is fairly recent, is the Sunday morning Bible study that Nancy and Bob Constance and I are leading together. We started that with the book of Amos and made it through that. and are now working on the book of the Gospel of Matthew. And it's an open to anybody that wants to come in. There's no previous knowledge, or whatever knowledge you bring to the table, you're welcome to come.
I don't have to be a Bible scholar, and I need to be worried about fish hooks in the book of Amos, or some, dead bodies and things we saw the last couple of rounds.
No, none of that. None of that. It is open, and we have really good discussions, and we are open to all. So
that's 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings up on the second floor of the Wesley building above Fellowship Hall, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Pat, I'm so grateful for you and your leadership and taking time to help us share this great news that while we're sorry to see Matt go, we have someone coming into the family, Debra Rogers. We're really pleased. We feel like God has led her to us among a number of qualified candidates, and we'll look forward to that. I'm also grateful for your willingness to step into a further leadership role as co-chair of Staff Parish next year. Blessings and grace to you as you walk into that role as well. And for everyone else, I'll see you in church on Sunday.